This video is the second video describing Theta Grid Adjustment rules. In the previous video, we looked at the Theta Grid Adjustment, the rule for bring sense A. We talked about the Theta Grid. The pop-up shows us that this verb has been used 221 times. If you want to see those 221 occurrences, you can right-click and select the fourth option. Edit this concept's collocation correction rule, show all occurrences of concept. We talked about the collocation correction rules previously, but this option is also useful if you want to see all the occurrences of a particular concept in our semantic representations. So here's the collocation correction rule. You can see we've used this verb 221 times, and here you can see the agent, the patient, the source, the destination, and the beneficiary. So sometimes when you're writing your Theta Grid Adjustment rules, it's helpful to look at how the verb is being used. So we'll close that. So let's go ahead and look at the rule for bring sense A. We see it right over here. And in the previous rule, we talked about how the agent noun phrase and the patient noun phrase are obligatory. They're always there. The source noun phrase, the destination noun phrase, and the beneficiary noun phrase are optional, indicated by purple cross-hatching. In most of your Theta Grid Adjustment rules, all you'll need to do is supply the proper prepositions or postpositions in these noun phrases and provide their grammatical relations. We intentionally use very simple, semantically simple verbs in our semantic representations, and that increases the likelihood that your target language will have a good lexical equivalent. And if your target language has a lexical equivalent, probably all you'll need to do is provide prepositions or postpositions in these noun phrases and provide their grammatical relations. If your language doesn't have a good lexical equivalent for bring sense A, or if your language looks at the event very differently than English does, then you'll need your Theta Grid Adjustment rule to do some significant restructuring in the semantic representations. But for this video, let's look at the simple option first. So we can supply, so TBTA built the input structure for us. We don't need to change that. In the output structure, we need to specify our changes. So we need to specify what prepositions go in these noun phrases and their grammatical relations. I want to remind you that we provide a default rule for grammatical relations. You can come here, add new features, noun phrase, grammatical relation with voice. So we'll activate that. And now TBTA adds a rule. You can see grammatical relation equals subject. Here, grammatical relation equals oblique. Grammatical relation equals object. If we go back to bring sense A, right here. So the simple way to do this is to click this button called Simple Output. If your language has a good lexical equivalent for bring, and all you want to do is provide prepositions down here and grammatical relations, you can click Simple Output. And TBTA will mark the agents as subjects. So you don't need to specify the grammatical relation, and we don't need a preposition or an add position here. And the patients will be set to objects, etc. For the source, in English, we would say, John brought the books from the library to his house for Mary. So they would be in this order. So we would say for the source, set it to _1. The order of these phrases will be determined by the phrase structure rule for clauses. The final constituent order is always determined by the phrase structure rules. And we'll look at the phrase structure rule in a minute. Since we want the source noun phrase to come first, John brought the books from the library to his house for Mary, we will set the source to _1. So the source will be _1. And we want the preposition from in that source noun phrase. Now we haven't entered any prepositions yet, so we'll say from. So from will be inserted into the source noun phrase. The destination noun phrase will be _2, and we'll insert the preposition to. And the beneficiary will be oblique 3, and we'll insert the preposition for. When we click OK, so now we see that the source will have a grammatical relation of oblique 1, and it will have the preposition from inserted. The destination will be set to grammatical relation equals oblique 2, and the preposition to will be inserted. And the beneficiary will have a grammatical relation of oblique 3, and the preposition for will be inserted. We'll activate this rule. And now, let's do just the first sentence. If we generate this verse, we need to order our obliques. Okay, the destination was set to oblique 2, and if we rest our cursor here, we can see that the features were changed from grammatical relation equals oblique to oblique 2 by Theta Grid Adjustment rule. Theta Grid Adjustments for betray, through concern, etc. Theta Grid Adjustment for bring A, structure 1. And the preposition was inserted by the same Theta Grid Adjustment rule. If we come down here, let's look at our phrase structure rules for clauses. This was built for you by TBTA. We provide these. And here's oblique 1, oblique 2, and oblique 3. Oblique 4, etc. Then there's the generic oblique. We come here. This was done for you. So we see that the Theta Grid Adjustment rule inserted the preposition to. Let's go to another example. This is saying, after Belshazzar drank some wine, he ordered his servants to bring some gold cups from the temple to the palace. So here we again see the verb bring. This is bring, lexical sense A. And this time there's an object noun phrase. There's a source noun phrase, and there's a destination noun phrase. Now, that same rule that we already wrote, that will apply here as well. To bring the cups from the temple, so now this is oblique 1, from the temple, the destination is oblique 2, and it has the preposition to. And these were ordered by the phrase structure rule for clauses. So this verb, as I mentioned, this verb bring sense A occurs 221 times. The Theta Grid Adjustment rule that we just wrote will occur to all 221 of those occurrences, and it will set the grammatical relation and insert the prepositions. Let's go back there. Bring sense A. You see now that all these others are off. Bring sense A is on. You can use the simple output if that's all you want to do. There will certainly be times when you need your Theta Grid Adjustment rules to do more than that. So I'm going to show you how to do this manually, step by step. We can go back to the input structure, and now when we go to the output structure, it's all clean. When we go from the input to the output, it just copies the input down to the output. We can specify those grammatical relations ourselves. I click to the Features button, and I'm going to select oblique 1. And we can see that the grammatical relation is now oblique 1. We can go here, set it to oblique 2. Go here, and set it to oblique 3. And we can insert the prepositions ourselves by saying insert word, click inside that noun phrase, select target words. Those are add positions. We want the word from. So from will go in the source noun phrase. The word to will go in the destination noun phrase. So to goes in the destination, and the word for we'll put into the beneficiary. So now we wrote that rule ourselves. In subsequent rules, we'll talk more about these buttons, how you can build the input structure and move things and provide new translations and copy features, etc. But if you need to build this rule manually yourself, you can use the simple output, but there will certainly be times when you want to do more than what the simple output allows you to do. So that's how you insert these prepositions and set the grammatical relations yourself.